Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 2 of the SHOUTcraft Invitational number 4 and the round of 4 onwards. My name is TotalBiscuit.
And I'm Apollo.
You want to talk about brackets, don't you? You want to talk about how we got to this point, and it's probably a good idea to do so. So we're going to bring up the group stage bracket from yesterday, which looked something like that.
Wow. What a great day we had yesterday. Nice and long, but full of entertainment. Some crazy comebacks.
Definitely.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Even though you see Dark Force eliminated first in his group. Oh, last in his group. Actually, last in his group.
Yeah, he was last in his group.
And he actually made a lot of money thanks you to the tip jars. That was awesome.
No game is meaningless. No game is meaningless.
But look at Stefano's record, man. 3-0. Did drop 3 maps, but 3-0. The only player yesterday to be able to do that.
It's very true.
Wow, Stefano. And then we have Thorzane, who advanced to 2nd place in Group 1. And that was through, as you can see, through 1 win and 2 losses. Through map scores, he advances through narrowly between all 3 players.
Yep.
And then into Group 2, we have the other Grubby versus Rhett. Both of them qualified through. Soke and Cloud out. Soke almost got through, but Grubby did pull that last map win. And that leads us into today, really.
Yes,
where we have the first semi-final, which is Stefano versus Grubby. Millennium versus Grubby. It sounds a little bit unfair, doesn't it, when you come to clan matches?
I don't know. I think he could do it. We'll see.
But this is going to be our first game of today. And obviously, we'll be going into the Thorzane versus Rhett, which is obviously another fantastic game. Each game of today is going to be best of 5. We will be playing the 3rd and 4th match as well, because there is a prize difference.
There is a significant prize difference. In fact, it's double the money for 3rd place.
So we're in top 4 now. What does the loser of today walk away with compared to the winner? And we go through all.
Well, if you lost every game today...
Yep.
So let's
go and hit me with it.
Yeah, we'll bring up the brackets right there, as you can see. Those are the 2 matches. If you went into the bronze bracket and you end up then losing the bronze match, 3-0, you still walk away with $300.
That's good, considering the tips and also the money you won yesterday.
Absolutely.
For the appearance fee as well.
Yeah, I think considering the amount of money that all of these guys have earned, I'm fairly sure they've all earned at least $200 in tips each. Excellent. So the minimum that anyone's walking away with today is $500, which is fantastic. Not too bad as far as I'm concerned.
And then how does the prize scale up, do you know, from 4th into 3rd place?
4th into 3rd place, it doubles, $600. Ooh. So that bronze match matters. Now, a lot of tournaments do have 3rd and 4th place being exactly the same amount of money. Since we want to see a lot of great games, we make sure that that's not the case. So
double prize money, man.
Yep,
a lot of money.
The bronze match will be played. It doubles the money. So considering tips, the minimum anyone is walking away with today if they come in 3rd place is $800. Not bad.
And then we haven't even gone into today's games and today's tips, but 2nd place looks like $1,200. That is a lot of money, TotalBiscuit.
Yes,
with final champion walking away with $2,500 from a 2-day, 8-player invitational.
Not too shabby, is it?
I've gone for the long hair EG look today because I was just looking at the camera.
I've gone for the Casper the Friendly Ghost look. The natural light is shining in my face and I look paler than pale.
I've actually got a curtain hiding the light so I don't look as white as you. But
yeah, you are definitely as white, but yeah, I look ridiculous in that respect. I'm going to have to close that curtain, I think, and we'll have to rely on the light in this room. But yeah, sadly, the computer is right in front of the window, which is a terrible place for lighting.
And just looking over the maps as well today, it's exactly the same map pool. If anybody just tuned in or read the end of the book or fast-forwarded to the end of the movie, the map pool of today is going to be Terminus SC, and then also we have Shakuris Plateau, Jewel Site, Daybreak, Metalopolis, Antigua, and finally Taldrum. As we are now into best of 5 in the semi-final, 1 map veto instead of 2, of course.
Yep. And then, of course, the finals, no vetoes whatsoever.
No vetoes with every single map is played. It doesn't matter if you have a weakness, you have to play that map.
Exactly. And a coin flip will determine who picks the first map in all of these series, as it has this entire time.
Exactly.
It's the only fair way to do it, as far as I'm concerned.
And then the loser of the map,
chooses the next.
Chooses the next. And that is basically the format for today's awesome games, and I'm so excited with the first one. Stefano versus Grubby.
It's a grudge match, isn't it?
It's another Stefano versus Grubby game. Can Grubby beat Stefano?
What's their record at the moment?
It's basically in my notes, it says Grubby 0, Stefano lots.
Oh.
Because in terms of offline, it's like ESWC, DreamHack, IPL4, Battle in Berlin, and I think that's kind of it. But online, there's lots.
Yeah.
There is many tournaments that Stefano just beat Grubby down in. And so it probably is in double figures in terms of best of 3s or best of 5s that they've played against each other. Grubby hasn't. He's taken maps, but he's never beat Stefano. And it's a weird story too. For anybody that doesn't know, is that it's Master versus Apprentice for what it looks like in this game, but it never used to be that way.
Yeah.
Stefano being a Warcraft free player, it used to be switched around, and Stefano was the one that could never beat Grubby. Stefano was the one learning from Grubby, winning 1 game out of 100, and now it seems the other way around, which is weird, considering.
It is a little bit odd, yeah, it really, really is, and this match is very important to Grubby, I think, because he needs to win to psychologically break this cycle.
It's weird because, I mean, Stefano's a very good player, but Nurcho is also of equal standard, for sure. But Grubby has definitely had his thumb on Nurcho, but he can't do it with Stefano. And PVZ, which is Grubby's probably favorite matchup recently, it never used to be, but he's doing so well in it, but yet he cannot beat Stefano. And on the other hand, Stefano, man, this guy is crazy good. You know, all the Koreans respected him when he got into Korea and was like, this guy is good. Because he had some incredible record on the Korean ladder, 70+% on the Korean ladder.
Yeah.
Easily up top 10, top 15 on the Korean ladder, always in Grandmaster. And here we are today with the first semi-final, man. It's going to be crazy for sure.
It happens, man, yeah. People do keep trying to dismiss Stefano as a flash in the pan or a gimmick, but he keeps proving that that is not the case. He is a competitor that's here to stay. That is very clear.
He hasn't dropped a game in this invitational.
No, he hasn't. You know, he's dropped maps. In fact, he's dropped a map to every player.
Yep.
So it does show that I think there's a chink in the armor there. He's not invincible. Yep. In fact, Rhett was looking invincible until he ran up against Grubby.
Yeah, exactly.
As we saw in the Group 2, the final stage groups. And then, of course, we've got Thorzane versus Rhett, which is a whole different story, which we'll come on to. And we'll give you all the gory details about that, because that's looking...
That's another history.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of history behind that too. So, well, I don't see any reason to delay this any longer. If these guys are actually ready to get started, currently I think they're discussing family jobs by the looks of it at the moment.
4 generations.
Oh, apparently Stefano's going to open up a bordello. So there you go.
I don't know what these guys always banter back and forth.
They do,
in the lobby
very
chat.
much so,
I mean,
yeah.
You can even see that the chat log between these two guys since we've actually been here is incredibly long.
It is, yes.
And let's just see if Grubby's ready as well, and then we can get this game underway.
Yes, we can.
This is going to be such a crazy game. The first map of today is Metalopolis. Stefano won the coin flip, and the vetoes as well. Stefano got rid of Terminus. Grubby got rid of Dual Sight. The vetoes for both of these players. Interestingly, Stefano getting rid of Terminus, I think it is because of the version here is a little bit more Protoss favored.
It is, yes.
Because of that third base.
Definitely.
And no entrance rocks to that. And then we saw Grubby get rid of Dual Sight, which is an interesting decision. It is difficult to take a third base there, and you can get dragged a lot, especially against Stefano's style.
Yeah, it was a very odd decision when you think about it, considering that that was the map where Grubby broke Rhett pretty hard, if I recall correctly, yesterday.
Yeah.
So obviously he doesn't think he can replicate that against Stefano's style, which is, let's be honest, nowhere near the same as Rhett's.
Stefano's style is so aggressive. It can be aggressive from the get-go, because Stefano was one of the Zerg players that opened up with Ling Roach very early on against Terran players.
Yeah.
And he can just hit the switch, and all of a sudden you just see waves and waves and waves of units come out consistently. And if anybody tries to take even a minute early third base,
Punished.
Stefano's on it, man.
Yeah.
He's on it. Like a car bonnet. But
What? That doesn't even make any sense.
I don't know. I've heard that somewhere before.
Whoever said that needs a slap.
I know. I think it's on some bad TV program. But anyway,
Must
Grubby
be.
is ready, and it looks like Stefano is as well.
Okay.
So are you ready, TotalBiscuit, to
I'm
kick
always
this off?
ready. Let's make it happen.
All right, man. Let's do this.
SCi4, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it.
Semi-final numero 1. There's
Indeed.
like 4 languages there.
Yep. I know there's a lot of people hoping for an all-Dutch final. It's a possibility.
It is.
Definitely a possibility.
It is.
We shall see as to whether or not that ends up happening. It's going to be a tough road to ride these guys, and of course it's possible for an all-Zerg final as well.
Either way, I'm happy. I'm a happy man.
Rhett versus Stefano best of 7 would probably be one of the best CBZs we've ever seen, let's be honest.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Rhett is on fire in Zerg versus Zerg recently. It's crazy.
Very true. Stefano claims his weakest matchup is ZBZ. As to whether or not that's the case, well, again, there's not really been any proof of that.
I know.
Statistically, it's not true, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, Stefano's a liar. He says he only practices 3 hours a day. He's a liar.
Yeah.
He says he parties every night. He's a liar. He doesn't. All right, so just waiting for this to get in, and it looks like we're in.
I believe we are. The gods of the scoreboard have not favored us this day, but it's okay. We shall advance regardless. And here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this, the Metalopolis, and the first game of this Best of 5 series in the semi-final of the SHOUTcraft Invitational number 4. Introducing your first competitor for the day, making his way through as Seed 2 from Group B. He is the only man in this tournament whose team consists of himself, is named by himself, has run his own tournament, and then won his own tournament. But the question is, can he win this one? We're about to find out, ladies and gentlemen, as I bring you
Team Grubby. Grubby.
He is in the green trunks, and he is playing Protoss to the south of this, the Metalopolis. However, standing in his way is this fellow right here. These guys have a history, as you're well aware, and while Grubby was the master in Warcraft 3, he is assuredly the apprentice in Starcraft 2. Can he finally beat the streak of consistent losses to this man who goes by the name of
Millennium Stefano.
He is in the characteristic pink trunks, and he is playing Zerg to the north.
He loves his pink trunks.
He does, he does.
He really does. And it looks like he's just going to go for a 15 spawning pool here. And we'll probably try to get the hatch down anyway, without taking gas. If he is prevented, he will take the gas and grab an overload, and then just get it a little bit later on. Meanwhile, in Grubby's base, we do have a 13 gateway, a pylon gateway, and then cybercore right next to the gateway for a zealot wall-in, and taking gas. And with this build already, Grubby's showing us that he wants to go 1 to 3 gateway expansion. It obviously depends on if we see Stefano take gas early, which he hasn't. So it looks like Grubby will probably go 1 gateway expansion. There's obviously no reason to add on 2 and 3 unless you want to put aggression on if Stefano doesn't take gas. And we already see that Grubby has denied the expansion for quite a while, but does eventually go down.
Yep, has no choice. He doesn't want to lose the probe in order to gain a couple of extra seconds. That's not a good idea. That probe could do all sorts of things later on. It could be the chosen probe. It
could be. It could all of a sudden jolt to the left of this map and start hiding. And by the looks of it, it may just be going home. Or to the Zelnaga first of all and then home. But that, you know, it's a very good option to have a hidden probe somewhere out there, around the 3rd to 4th base, anywhere really. Because then you can go back and scout, oh, why does he have lings all of a sudden popping out that hatchery? Or why is his drone count low? Or, oh, he's taking the 3rd base. All these different options. And I actually quite like this, the hiding of the probe actually. It's out range of the Zelnaga towers, and it's not really somewhere you'd look for the probe, even though it's like right in front of the hatchery, natural.
Yeah, it's hidden in plain sight, which I do like, because a lot of players do tend to hide it and say, right, I'm going to keep it away, but that becomes obvious. Although I have a feeling it might have been... No, it actually didn't get picked. Yeah, it's definitely been spotted now. Yeah, so it's not going to be the chosen probe, unfortunately.
And it just goes and see there is no fast 3rd base, which could have happened if Stefano hadn't have taken gas, but we do see that Stefano has taken gas and he also has speed in the making.
Yep.
Grubby, though, looks like he's just chronoboosting out a sentry, which is an interesting decision. I mean, that could have been chronoboosted into the cyber core to get warp gate out faster. Also could have been chronoboosted into the nexus, but chronoboosting the gateway means that he wants to expand because he doesn't want to wait for warp gate research. He just wants to do it now and get that unit out a little bit faster. And there is that 1 gateway expansion from Grubby right now. And I love poking around with Stalkers early on, but you have to be so careful. He cannot go further. If he loses that Stalker to Lings...
That would be disastrous, yeah. The risk of poking around with the Stalker, as you said, is the Zerglings, and you can get away as long as they don't have speed, because a Stalker and a Zergling move at exactly the same speed. However, if it's got speed, then yeah, it'll die, and we've got a lot of Lings coming out, a lot of Lings by Stefano, and as I said, he can get aggressive right out of the gate, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, especially because he's taking speed, and against 1 gateway expansion, which I think he has spotted with the Overlord on the right-hand side, he wants to put pressure on Grubby. Grubby only has a few units, 2 sentries, a Zealot, and Stalker, and he's going to lose the Stalker on the Zelnaga tower in the middle. That is already big in itself, and he sees all the Lings. So he's only got 1 gateway, and this could be actually very dangerous for Grubby right now. Though he has 3 to 4 force fields, it may not matter against all these Lings that are coming.
These force fields are going to have to be absolutely fantastic, honestly. And now chronoboosting off that single gateway. As you can see, it's not even a warp gate yet. And now finally it's turning into that. And this is looking like a Nexus denial here. These force fields are going to have to be really, really good. And honestly, they weren't. The shield's now down on the Nexus. He's able to clean that up. Another force field deployed. And you know what? He saved it for the time being.
Yeah, it's very good force fields by Grubby. And meanwhile, he is getting the double gateways coming as well. And it doesn't look like he can lose the Nexus from here on out. He has to be careful not to lose sentries, though.
Yeah, that would be absolutely crucial, but that force field was good, and Stefano has been driven away for the moment. He doesn't want to let this go, but he's not going to have a choice once that cannon goes up.
Yeah, meanwhile, this was just a small investment from Stefano. It did force a lot of energy to be wasted, or used, rather, and it also forced the gateways to be thrown down immediately and a cannon. And meanwhile, he's just taking a third base and droning back up, so he's at 39 drones versus 31 probes, and Grubby, equally to the standard, just stays calm and deals with it rather well. And we do see a Twilight Cancel coming down here for Grubby. He hasn't decided to take the extra gases yet, so it may just be that he can jump straight into +2 and get Blink out. And it also could be, yeah, like if he throws down more gateways, we could be seeing a +1 and Blink attack coming shortly, but we will have to keep tabs on that.
Yes, we will. Stefano's taken his third, which is, of course, predictable to have happen, but at the moment, there's no real threat of aggression until these gateways come up, until, of course, we see that +1. And Grubby's going to aggressively push out now to clean up some lings, and he's able to get a couple of kills for free there. And that's always good. Every little bit helps, regardless of the fact that lings are effectively, whoa, ho, ho, that is a Dark Shrine.
Oh, indeed it is.
So much for the +1 timing push.
Yeah, he's going to use DTs, and this may or may not work for him. He does have pylons on the radius of his base, just on the side, so he can warp down. And he also has a hidden probe on the right-hand side here, which he may build a pylon and warp in from there. The problem is Stefano's already almost at layer. He can get roach speed immediately and start that heavy roach production. If he smells something's wrong, all he has to do, one Overseer. Go in and scout. He has an overlord just outside the base of Grubby. And then if he knows this, Grubby's going to be in a horrible position because he's going to have to deal with 1 million roaches and lings streaming at him, which DTs with Nova 02 may not work. But we do have Blink being researched, so if Stefano did decide to be aggressive, you can use Blink to snipe the Overseers and then use DTs in a defensive fashion.
That's the kind of thing I would expect to see from Grubby, honestly, with his trademark micro and also a bit of creativity and flair from his playstyle. The pylon's going down as we expected in the corner. It's a good position for those DT warp-ins. Infesta's on the way for Stefano in the meantime, so he does have a number of methods of dealing with DTs. Even if he needs to do so, a clutch fungal growth will be able to deal with that. So we'll see how that goes, and the DTs are on their way. Only a single Dark Templar warped in initially. I like the fact that Grubby's not investing too much in this, because he's not 100% sure what kind of defenses and countermeasures his opponent has yet.
Exactly, and I think it looks like he just wants to take this relatively fast third base. It's a little bit faster than usual, and use DTs to defend while taking it. He's only using one DT to do a bit of damage, because as soon as that DT goes in there, Overseers are going to be made, Spore Crawlers are going to be made, more Overseers will be made, 3. So that one DT and an investment to pick off a couple of drones, forcing a lot of Overseers, while holding his own third base, is very, very good, especially against the aggressive style of Stefano. But if he grabs the Infestation Pit, obviously that would be the best thing in the world. But
yeah, that's not going to happen. Yeah. Stefano's not going to allow that to happen, not with a single Dark Templar. But the fact of the matter is, this DT's already paid itself back.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Stefano is killing the Infestation Pit of his own, but the DT is at 11, 12... kills. 12 drone kills for one DT.
For one Dark Templar, that's a fantastic investment. And as you said, it forced 3 Overseers. That's 150 gas out from Stefano. Yeah. So that is actually fantastic. I love the fact that he didn't go and say, I'm just going to go blind DT. It's like, no, I'm going to use one Dark Templar. And then also it allows him a transition later on if he wants to go, say, Zealot Archon.
And we may see Stefano be a little bit aggressive now towards his third base, which he knows has been taken for Grubby. He will be able to use Infestors as detection against any DTs, not just Overseers as well. Meanwhile, we do have an Archon being made, and the temple on the robotics base, has finished. So we can start Colossus production, which is obviously fantastic against the tech path that Stefano has chosen, which is Infestors. The 9 range obviously helps out a lot here. And a lot of drones are coming down, and here we see yesterday's play coming into action once again, where Stefano obviously knows that gas is more important than anything else that can happen in the game for his income. Why not spend excess minerals in just building a bunch of spines?
Yeah. And it does make a difference, it really does. It often makes players very unwilling to attack. It also potentially funnels players into awkward spots, and it can really help on the defense for obvious reasons, especially with fungals, for instance. That's a great thing to combine with spine crawlers. You can't get out of range of the damn things. It's very difficult to maneuver.
Yeah, and the defensive option that Stefano's taking may just push him down high and start building that big brutal army we saw yesterday when he played against Night End. And Night End had difficulty with it, and will Grubby, we'll see. Meanwhile, we do have Grubby pushing out. Not really going to achieve that much, just looking to deny some creep tumors. Also just put a bit of pressure back onto Stefano, but overall he should be looking to return here. He has force fields, so he's always safe, but not safe against fungal growth.
No, he is not, and that is what happens when you get fungled next to a forest of spine crawlers. No, that's a terrible idea. And if he loses... Oh! Wow, that was a massive misstep right there.
Yeah.
That should not have happened. And honestly, it happened because no extended thermal lance.
Yeah, no thermal lance yet, and he didn't really want to do anything, just kill a couple of creep tumors, and Stefano just caught him, really. And that was a little bit of a bad move from Grubby.
Yeah, losing a Colossus is not a good start.
Not at all, really. And we do have the Hive coming down now, double Spire, so yeah, we are going to be going into that Broodlord style, very, very aggressive play, and smartly Grubby decides to take this 4th base as well. And he's going to have to sit there with his army until that panel finishes, probably, and start to build some cannons there as well. Because you've got to be careful about Ling and Roach kind of counters to prevent that base from going up. Meanwhile, Stefano has also just added on more infestors. We do have the Gravatic Drive coming for the Warp Prisms, of course. And Grubby's pretty good at using these Warp Prisms.
Yes, he is. He's extremely good at it. And I'm glad to see the Gravatic Drive being actually built more and more. It's so important to get. Is Grubby just going to build everything this game? He's got a Stargate on the way, so I have a feeling he's going to start preparing for the Broodlords and actually working on the tech that he needs to get a mothership out if they come his way. I think he's realized, along with everyone else, that late game against Zerg, the only real answer to Broodlords right now is Vortex for the mothership.
Absolutely, and seeing these spine crawlers, he knows Stefano's sitting behind them and won't come for him, so he's already preparing. The Fleet Beacon will come down, especially as he takes the 4th base gases. Fleet Beacon will come down and mothership will follow. We do have some DTs being warped in, and they're probably going to go into that warp prism. So where are the DTs? I don't know where they've been warped into, but they'll probably be going
question. I'm looking for them right now.
Soon.
Well, the warp prism is on its way, and there is actually no DT in it. So, no, he's turning it into an Archon, so he's just doing it for his army composition. He may choose to warp in DTs directly from the Warp Prism. That's now been spotted by Stefano, and the risk is, of course, that whatever warps in from that gets nailed down by those Infestors.
Yeah.
Grubby may not have seen the Infestors, potentially.
And Grubby does snipe off 2 to 3 Infestors here on the right-hand side.
Takes
and that's
4.
a great trade, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Considering only he's losing shields at the moment, but if he takes more, that's absolutely fantastic. That's gas that's not Broodlords.
Yep.
But he is about to lose the Warp Prism at the same time now as well, as you can see over here.
Yeah, he can... oh, the two fungals missed by Stefano. Uncharacteristic, and he gets out of there with the Warp Prism. You know, Gravitic Drive actually saved his ass there.
Yeah, it did, and he's able to, deploy it again just outside that 4th base, and I don't think it's inside Stefano's vision. It's not, actually.
It is not, yep.
So a couple of DTs or even Zealot Warpins right now, especially with the upgrades that this army is at, which is currently +2, are going to do a lot of damage to that hatchery really, really fast. Meanwhile, we do see the Fleet Beacon finish up and the Mothership on the way. And we do have the Temple Archives also finished, so we probably will be seeing some more Archons soon. And we do have the Gravatic Boosters, which is almost the same thing as the Warp Prism Speed. But
always
that is
confusing,
for the
those damn things, yes.
Yeah.
And this is becoming a trademark Grubby thing, actually. A warp-in of Zealot plus DT. You'll get both, generally speaking, because the Zealots can actually distract. And they, of course, it's better than warping in 4 DTs, because 4 DTs is a massive amount of gas. You warp in 1 DT, it can still be extremely effective, especially if the Zealots can nail down any kind of detection. And
he does a lot of damage here, killing a lot of drones, and now forcing all the spine crawlers to kind of fold over and die, and he's doing it again to the 3rd base as well. So Grubby very good with this Warp Prism, and this is how he managed to break Ret down. Unfortunately, the 2nd attack didn't do so well.
Yep, this is very true. You can see them getting fungled over there. But in the meantime, he was being attacked on his 4th by the Roaches of Stefano. And let's have a look at the damage done. Stefano did do a significant amount of economic damage, but Grubby has done more. That said, it doesn't really matter. Stefano's still ahead in terms of workers and is building another 8.
Yeah, very nice play from both of these players. Very high level, very passive, tiptoeing across the map. And I like how that Stefano's cutting the map in half from the gold base, taking all the bases, making sure he's mining gas from every single one, which he is right now, banking up that gas so he can continue to upgrade nicely and also build the infestors that he kept on losing on that right flank. Meanwhile, Grubby's taking that 5th base now as well, and he is cannoning that 4th base to make sure that Roach kind of counterattack doesn't happen again. Meanwhile, Storm is coming, Archons are in the mix now, and here is that Mothership. Will we see Stefano fight against it like we saw Dark Force yesterday? By grabbing Neuroparasite, which he hasn't got, by the way. Maybe he'll research it after and deal with it that way, because right now, it's very, very difficult to deal with this.
It's very tricky, and people pointed to Neural Parasite yesterday and may have overreacted and said, oh, you know, this is the answer. Not necessarily. The problem with the Neural Parasite is the range is very, very low. It got nerfed pretty hard after Neural Parasite basically became the catch-all answer to Colossus, and it got nerfed at that point. It is still possible to do it, especially if you use Burrow to get in close, but you've only got a fraction of a second to fire off that Vortex before a good player target fires the Infestor down.
Absolutely, and I mean, Grubby could also add High Templar into his army too and just feedback everything if that was the answer that Stefano was looking to counter this. But overall, it seems like we're just going to go toe-to-toe, both players trying to bank up as much money as possible. And Grubby, the only disadvantage with... Oh, there's Neural Parasite coming, so we may see that. But the only disadvantage with playing this style for Grubby is that he can't take the gold base while Stefano can. So it's like a casino, basically. It's not really 50-50 because there's that one base in Stefano's favor that Grubby can't have because of Broodlords, and they're always going to launch down onto it.
Yep. Grubby throwing away some Zealots deliberately there in order to unlock some supply, which he can then use to make more Archons and Stalkers, which is far more important against this composition here.
What I really love to see from Grubby is how we've seen Liquid Hero use Warp Prisms. Use 2 and just go down each flank. And that is to the last base of Stefano and also his main. And doing that, you will actually just continue to warp in units over and over, and Broodlords and Corruptors and Infestors, there's no way they can get back to defend.
Yeah, they're too slow.
And slowly just knock him down, like we saw Hero do to Idra in, I don't know what tournament, I think it was a DreamHack, I think.
I even like what he did here. He actually just uses an Infested Terran to grab control of the Xel'Naga Tower. In the meantime, Ling run by, which is, of course, why you cannon these bases, because otherwise, Lings at this stage can do a lot of damage. They're +3 already, so they're going to rip a mineral line to shreds if you don't cannon up.
Yeah, and he actually couldn't build cannons for a while because there was an Overlord spreading creep, and he only just kind of got rid of it. But it looks like Grubby's getting ready to fight now. He has got a lot of money banked up. Look at the gas Grubby has banked up. That's a lot of High Templar and remaxing in everything. But he can't get fungal growth into one small area, especially without that mothership around.
Oh, double fungal lands on 2 Archons. That's not a good start there for Grubby at all. That second Archon goes down, and he achieves nothing with that first push.
And 6 more High Tempo come in. Looks like they're all going to be Archons, of course.
Yep.
Because that's Grubby's end goal here, is to try and get and land a Vortex and grab all the Archons inside, and then just push. And then hopefully kill Stefano before he even gets close to remaxing out.
Stefano knows exactly what's going on, though. That's the dangerous thing. Like, how good is Stefano? Is he good enough to prevent that from happening?
Yeah, Grubby right now is moving down the left and right flank, just clearing the creep because Stefano is very active on it and keeps pushing it further and further and further. Well, like what we need to see is harassment from Grubby, just even a few Blink Stalkers on the higher ground. There we go. And now we can start trying to harass these bases on the left and in the main base of Stefano.
Yeah, Stefano has spined up pretty hard. Admittedly, +3 Stalkers do tend to rip their way through there. Stefano actually gets supply blocked. It turns out he didn't build enough Overlords there. Not that makes a difference at the moment because he's maxed out, but just a minor thing. And Fungal goes down, and a repeated Fungal will clean this up for the moment. In the meantime, the push continues. He must break that spine wall, and actually there's no detection there, so he's okay to do that. There's no Spore Crawlers in the mix. The Mothership is proving useful.
Yeah, there's not that many Archons though. There's only 2, look, or 3, sorry, but that's not really enough to do what he wants to do right now, and he's trying it anyway.
The Vortex goes down, but the majority of the Broodlords don't even go into it. In the meantime, however, he's looked to flank around and kill all the Infestors. He eats a Fungal for his trouble, but he kills a good number of Infestors in the process.
Wow, I'm really surprised that Grubby only has 2, now 1 Archon there, and the Broodlords, as soon as they come out, they're going to chase this army down, and I don't see how Grubby's even going to survive with this army. Oh, the Mothership's been fungal.
You can fungal a Mothership, and it's been Neural Parasited. However, it didn't manage to do anything. There was no energy available on the Mothership, so it didn't really make a difference. The Cloak is now back in effect. Oh my, Stalker's coming in from the back, as you said right there, to break the majority of that, but Grubby's army is starting to fall to pieces. Stefano's Broodlords, there's no answer. Blink Stalkers are not an answer to Broodlords.
No, I mean, they're very good, but there's just too many Broodlords at this current point in time. They are being worn down, and Grubby smartly picking off the expansion, slowing down the the economy of Stefano. Only at 1,500 gas right now, not that much.
Moves out of cloak range, doesn't really matter, as you know. There's about 5 Overseers, in fact more than that, following that, and Grubby's army is now destroyed. The Mothership is getting out of there and is now finally shot down by the Corruptors, and Honestly, for the cost of that, let's have a look. He lost a lot of resources in that engagement. He took an expansion for his trouble. It certainly wasn't enough. The Broodlords remained alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Grubby's on the back foot. He doesn't even have an army, really, just Blink Stalkers. And his gateway count isn't that high, to be honest.
Well, the problem is his mineral count's actually very low at the moment. He's got a lot of gas, but he can't spend it unless, of course, he goes Mass Sentry, which won't help him here.
Yeah, let's have a look at his probe count. It is at 70, so he shouldn't really have that much of a problem with probes right now. But he's just only now transferred from his natural over to that right-hand side base. He was only mining gas from there for a long time, but he does have a decent-sized army once again. Another mothership is building, and we do have a Warp Prism also on the way, which he's going to use to try and harass these back expansions. He has to deny Stefano from that, because Stefano is trying to do it himself right now.
Well, yeah, and he's got the Broodlords and the means to do so. Really, what is there to stop these Broodlords? 25 Blink Stalkers, that combined with that many Infestors, bear in mind the Infestor account is actually at... What? 22?
Yeah.
This is not a Destiny game. So 22 Infestors. How is he going to get Blink Stalkers even close enough without losing all of them? It's simply not going to happen. That's what happens. A massive fungal right there, and they're not going anywhere. There's enough fungal growth to kill the entire army.
Yeah, this is looking very hard right now to fight late game against this style, especially on this map, because you just can't get into a decent position. It's too funneled around. There's a lot of areas Broodlords can go, like in the center of the map as well, and there's too much terrain, higher, lower ground for Blink Stalkers to efficiently blink underneath. It's not a very open map, such as bigger maps like Taldra and Malta and so on, where we saw more efficient play on yesterday. And this is a tough question, and Changeling's finally screaming in my ear right now. And
he's surrounded it with... Can it actually get out of there?
I have no idea. It doesn't look like it at the moment. But
it's actually stuck by Changelings. Grubby's finally killing all of them. That's I don't think I've ever seen Manalings before, honestly. That's pretty impressive.
Maybe even fighting this late game army from Stefano isn't, you know, maybe it's not the right way to do it.
To fight it straight up? What, to go for like, are you suggesting what he really should be doing is going for base killing, basically, harassment via Warp Prism?
In
fact, he's building a no, he actually must have, did he lose his Warp Prism?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know where the Warp Prism went, because he's building another one now, and I'm sure he's building one earlier. Grubby's army composition is now back to max, and it's good. This army composition is fine against what he's facing. He might be able to fight straight up. The problem is right now, he's losing bases.
Yeah, and when this base goes down, so does mineral and gas, and that will open up that right one as well for Stefano to take. And it looks like Grubby's just going to go and kill the bases of Stefano, which will pull him back, which is quite nice. But, ooh, 4 Broodlords left alone here. I'm not sure if that is too wise from Stefano. And he actually comes back here. Yeah,
well, I think, honestly, he's okay with it because he knows that Grubby's army is all there right now. There is that Warp Prism, but Grubby doesn't really have anything to warp in from. There's even a single DT somewhere on the map. I'm looking on the minimap. I can't see the Warp Prism. I think it's there. It's only warped in a single Zealot. It hasn't done much lately. Grubby's got to be very careful about that. There we go. His trademark force of Zealot and DT is warping in to try and harass and destroy this base. There is a Spore Crawler, but that's easily killed by the +3 right there, so he may be able to deal with it. Grubby's army in the meantime has backed off, and unfortunately the DT's been target fired down by the Spine Crawlers, so that harassment will do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, he didn't really focus too much, but right now he's just trying to... Grubby right now is just like, how the hell do I beat this? I don't know how to beat it.
Well, he's got the comp. He's got the comp for it. The problem is that he's going up against a really, really tough force. I mean, I would hope, actually, to see more shield upgrades, honestly, from him. He's only at +1. He's got the gas to upgrade shields. It would be helpful. Everything benefits from that. Even the mothership benefits from the shield upgrade. So it might be something to consider, considering his opponent is maxed on upgrades right now.
Yeah, he just finished with +3 carapace on his Broodlords as well.
Yep.
We do have the DT and 3 Zealots still alive on this left-hand side. Just going to pick off an Extractor, and every little helps. That's going to help out quite a bit, because that will stunt the base or the gas income for Stefano. And meanwhile, Grubby goes into the center and doing a lot of damage here, but fungal growths again.
So many Infestors. How do you deal with that without being able to feedback them all? And in the meantime, here comes the mothership, and Stefano sees it coming a mile away. And needless to say, he gets the fungal on it, and the entire army just got crushed again.
Oh, big, but there's no
Doesn't matter,
outcomes.
there's nothing left. There's nothing left. That Vortex does nothing at all, and the Corruptors will eventually pick off this mothership by the looks of it.
Well, if he can drag him down now and then use another Vortex and warp in some High Templar, it could work, but Grubby isn't warping in anything right now.
2 Archons going in right now. That's not enough.
It's not enough.
Maybe if he brings his Colossus into place, then anything that got in on the ground will die, but...
This is it. This is the last last time, last try.
Oh, one more shot, one more. Oh, it's not enough. The Archon dies before they're both able to get 3 shots off, which is what he would have needed in that position. And now Grubby backing off with the remains of that mothership. The Corruptor looking to finish it off, and will it have the damage to do so? The Corruption's gone down, and the mothership, goes down with the last spiteful shot of that Corruptor.
Yeah, this is the time you just go Stefano, and there's no mothership. You can definitely fight this, and his army's definitely strong enough. He may even just morph even more Broodlords as soon as he loses them right on top of Grubby's army and not even care. We do have more Archons coming in, more units streaming in, and I think Stefano's going for closure.
I think so, and I think he's going to get it, honestly. Those Archons are even going to get fungal before they actually pop out. The Corruptors take some damage, and just that force is monstrous. It is monstrous. Another 10 Infestors coming to back this up. He's got over 9,000 minerals in the bank.
It's looking bad for Grubby right now, but obviously amazing for Stefano. And even though Grubby's got a decent blinking position right now, and the energy is running low on Infestors, the Broodlords are just too many right now. There's just way, way too many for Grubby to deal with.
It's hard. It really is extremely difficult. Wow, an entire army of changelings moving in right there. It actually buffers damage, funnily enough, for Stefano, and Grubby is in a corner right now. He's not getting out of there alive. Fungals and many infested Terrans spawned,
wow.
and it's a massacre in here.
It's a war with infested Terrans and Broodlings, and he just can't get under the Broodlords in time.
Nope.
There is a Warp Prism on the left-hand side, but I doubt Grubby's even going to use it. Look at all those spines coming in from Stefano, and Grubby's now down to 133 supply, and look at that. The rest of his Stalkers are going to go down now to these Broodlords. Look at that, morphing on top of his army.
It's so hard to deal with this. It's incredibly hard. 11 Broodlords being morphed directly on top because Stefano knows that he has dominance here. And this will be GG any moment without question, because Grubby has no answer to what's currently happening yet.
And these Zealots are not going to work out so well. There's a few too many spines.
Yeah. Stefano currently sitting on the entirely standard force of 17 spine crawlers per expansion. What the hell do you do against that?
Yeah. Grubby, that's the question that Grubby's going to have repeating over and over and over is,
how do I
beat this? But
I think you had the right answer before.
Well, with the harassment, with
I really do. Like,
yeah.
Prioritizing bringing bases down before that happens. There's the GG, ladies and gentlemen. First game of this best of 5 series going to Stefano, and my God, did he deserve that. He really did.
Certainly did. And
he played so well.
Grubby is definitely a player that will be analyzing the replay straight away. He's already in the replay, like as soon as it finishes, and we'll be watching through. He'll fast forward and be like, all right, are there any holes that maybe I could attack before? But then you come to, well, it's Stefano, man. I can't attack into a million lings, roach infestors, and spines. It's so difficult. So he may try to analyze it and come up with a solution. And if there's anyone that can do and come up with a solution in the fastest time possible, it's going to be Grubby.
Yeah.
He's been in so many different scenarios in his Warcraft 3 career where he's been put on the table and there's been a big fat guy with a big knife about to chop him up, and Grubby says no, grabs the knife and spins it around, cuts the guy's head off and runs away.
I like your analogies, Apollo. I think that's one of your strengths, honestly, when it comes to analysis.
Grubby's done that before,
yeah,
and he can do it again for sure. So I'm interested to see what his conclusion's going to be through watching the replay, and he is a fast thinker, so I'm excited to see what he's going to pull in the next few games. He does have map choice now as well.
Yeah, that will certainly help. As you said before, Metalopolis is a pain in the ass to do what you're suggesting, because you've got for one thing all of these void areas that I like to call them, where there's no ground whatsoever. Broodlords can hang around there. The center of the map, which is where Stefano chose to engage every time with that army, I might add, aside from at the end when he knows he won.
And that may even be the reason why we saw Stefano veto Terminus, because he doesn't want to play in a big, large, open map in the center.
Yeah.
And to think about that, I suppose that Grubby may even be thinking about playing on a larger map, such as Tal'Darim, because he may have better options to fight in the center. Other maps as well. Daybreak is, still filtered around, so is Shakuras. Even Antigua, the rest of the map pool is still very filtered for Stefano to pull this off on. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Tal'Darim as a map choice here from Grubby.
Yeah, that wouldn't really surprise me in that respect. But aside from that, the idea of this is something that's been milling around for a lot of people. How do you beat that composition without the mothership? Bearing in mind that Blizzard is saying they want rid of the mothership in the next expansion. And I think your answer is correct. It is the hero style of play, which is mid-game aggression onwards with Warp Prism. Because really, how did Stefano have such a large army? Because his economy was incredibly strong. How do you stop him getting that critical mass of Broodlord Infester? You make sure he doesn't have 6 to 7 full mining bases all the time. You have to kill expansions and you have to consistently hurt him.
We'll have to see if Grubby agrees.
We will.
In the next game. That may be something he will try. I don't know. Yep. Even if he tries timing attacks, it's as long as Stefano stops droning at the appropriate times, 45 drones just before the 8-minute attack, then I don't really see a way that Grubby can penetrate that. We saw Night End penetrate it yesterday, but we clearly saw that Stefano over-droned and wasn't prepared. And that was a mistake on Stefano's behalf, which he cleaned up immediately for the rest of the games.
Yeah.
And never would something like that happen again to him. So. Well,
this is the problem, really. When you look at Stefano's playstyle, Stefano is such a strong player, and he really does not make that many mistakes. And how do you beat the style? It's very difficult. We'll see if Grubby has an answer. We're going to go a quick commercial break. When we come back, Game 2 of Grubby versus Stefano.